Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to episode 47 of Caged Full Throttle. Yes, that's right, we may be in lockdown, but we never rest here at Caged. And welcome to another podcast. Joining me tonight is my usual partner in crime. He still waves his yellow flags on Wreckfest. It is James Keane.
Thank you very much, Jordan, and hello to everyone listening at home. I hope you're all staying safe and staying well.
Thank you, James. And my next guest is Mr. I almost won a race on Wreckfest. It is, of course, Matt Josey.
Hello, Jordan. Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in tonight. It's a very strange time to be to be around right now, but hope you're all doing well, and we look forward to tonight's podcast.
Thank you, Matt. And I've saved the best till last. He's still a bit miffed that there's no trains on Wreckfest. It is, of course, Mr. Ed Fahey.
Thank you, Jordan, and good evening. And once again, I've had to travel very, very far to be on this podcast, basically to my kitchen room table. So let's get it on.
Yes, indeed. We have travelled far and wide to be here tonight, all in the confines of our own rooms. But let's crack on with the show, and we've got a few meetings to go through. So we're going to go to Matt first, and he's going to talk about the Stan Lake A1 Open.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan. So Stan Lake Arena hosted the very first running of the A1 Open Championship for the 2 litre national bangers and the unlimited national bangers back at the very start of March. Seems like a hell of a long time ago now already. And this meeting was, of course, the replacement of the very old and long-running 3 litre domestic meeting. The day, to be honest, my memories are quite bad from the day because it was that long ago. So the unders field was mostly, as you'd expect, 4 Mondeos. But there was a few different cars out there. Joey Reynolds' Insignia from the Caged Open made a return for, I think it's 3rd meeting. But that man, Joe Reynolds himself, brought out another sports first, this time the first estate type of the Vauxhall Insignia, which went well all day, just like the standard car did. So it was great to see a total of 3 of those Insignias out in the unders that day. There was one for another driver as well. In terms of some of the drivers we had out on the day, we had Team TLC, we had Yogi Jr., the back to basic regular driver at Aldershot. 754 Babs had a very smart car. Let's have a look through the photos now. Moving on to the unlimited class, which is where we saw some amazingly beautiful and wonderful smart cars. We had a fresh Rover P5 of 247 Lee Clark. Elsewhere, there was Tom Waller 209 had a fresh Mark 1 Granada Coupe, which I believe was that one. I think that was at Motorsport of Attitude. So it was great to see that out there, and it lives to fight another day, that's for sure. Elsewhere in the Unlimited, Jackstar brought out his used Mark 10 Jag /420G, not too sure exactly, from one of last year's Aldershot 3 litre meetings. And there was, what was it, the Yank of, where is he? The Big Al. That's one of the Uttins, I believe. Is it one of the Uttins or not? Sorry, I've forgotten there. But he brought that big Yank out from, I believe, Skegness last year as well. That was another cool motor.
That's how exciting that was.
Yeah, that was a proper cool car. That came back out. To be honest with you, the heats were quite tame, but had some good racing. And then the both the finals were the best races of the day. Anyway, the unlimited final, including a Jack in Train and a small pile up, going into the end of that race, involving Aaron Charles. Who else was in there? Nemesis, who of course put on a great show all meeting long. Let's not forget the Destruction Derby saw a massive hit from Nemesis, one of the biggest hits of the day. So to be honest, that's all I can remember roughly from the day. But it was a great first running of the event. Another great turnout of cars. There was quite a few no-shows on the day. Not loads, but there was a few. So I think the final turnout was at around 30 to 40 unders, and about 50 unlimited. So overall, around 80, 90 cars like the Caged Open had back in 2019. So great opening A1 Open. And it was a pretty good meeting. So I'll pass you back to Jordan.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. And it must be said, hats off to Gary Webb and Jack Reynolds, who both worked tirelessly to get that meeting on and to get the numbers there. 80 to 90 cars at one meeting isn't anything to be ashamed of. That's a great turnout for Stanley.
Yeah, so
now we can move on.
So I was just going to ask a question now. Obviously, this has replaced what was in the 3-litre meeting slot. Matt, would you say it's breathed some new life into what that slot was? Bit of a refresh, changes are good as rest and all that. So did it feel like it breathed some new life into that unlimited slot?
Was that, sorry, replacing the 3-litre meeting?
Yeah, because that was the slot that was originally the 3-litre meeting, wasn't it? So it's added a bit of a new angle to it.
Definitely the 3-litre meeting, back in its prime, was one of the biggest and best meetings of the year, not just at Stan Lake, but of the whole National Banger calendar. Sadly, I think the last 2 or 3 years, the turnout sort of died down. Definitely rejuvenated that certain fixture of the year at Stan Lake with a bigger turnout, a big crowd, and some great-looking cars. And I'm sure that'll carry on next year as well.
Yeah, definitely. Has anyone else got anything more that can be said about the A1 Open? No? Brilliant. Okay. Right, now we will move on to the Paddywhack meeting, which, Ed, you were at.
I was there, yeah. I was only there for the second day, actually, which is for the Unlimited were on the second day. There was micros on both days, but mainly went for the Unlimiteds, as you do these days. There wasn't that many cars in the pits. It was less than 30. Like, the turnout was fairly low compared to previous years for whatever reason. But, of course, in hindsight, probably could be the only Unlimited meeting I get to see all year, so maybe you can't be too dismissive of it. But there's a couple of visitors from across the water. Liam Lake came over, along with Ricky Finney. Again, low numbers, but the quality was okay. The first heat for Bayern was actually fairly quiet until Lakey decided to run in Davy O'Connor quite hard on the airport bend. Fortunately, the way Davy tried to get out of it, and he ended up going in driver's side up, so he had a bit of a sore arm for the rest of the day and a red flag, but hopefully he's okay now. Obviously, he's restored a few more Marco and Granadas since, so he's feeling well. But up the front, it was mainly Stephen Bolton, Leonard Dunn, and Ricky Finney. It was like watching lightning rods nearly, and it was good. It was a bit of a lightning rod tie-in as well, because former world champion Gordy McKee was out in the big barns as well. So it was neat to stand forward, just racing around. Like, they weren't even dispatching people in front of them; they're just literally overtaking. The cars were that quick. Like, Leonard Dunn had a frog eye hair, so it was absolutely flying. It'll be the easiest word to describe. It's one of the quickest bangers I've ever seen. Like, Leonard's fairly handy now at building the cars, racing the cars too. So, I mean, if he's building cars that quick now, hopefully when it comes to Ipswich later this year, if it happens, of course, we'll see him there. The final itself for the rather interesting title of the Euro Masters. Again, very roundy. Wasn't really much going on at all. It was basically Bolton versus Dunn versus Gordy McKee again, with Ricky Finney and Alan Leonard, who had a lovely Jaguar XJS running on the Jag engine as well. So the sound off was fantastic. You don't really hear the original Jag engines that much anymore, but just nice to hear a real raspy straight six. And then the DD again was very roundy until Jake Neal, who had an old Rover P4. It was basically kind of an old-fashioned DD, a 10-lap sprint, then the DD starts. So a few people were waiting on the middle. But Jake Neal came off the middle on Oppo looking for someone. Everyone actually drove past him the first time. Then they went around again, and he backed off for some reason. I don't know why. But basically, third time lucky really for that DD, because let me see. I'm just looking for the note that I wrote about it. They're there somewhere. Let me see. I don't actually know, but basically, he met Gordy on the nose, and then Kerry McIver and one of his Jags went straight at the back of Jake, and then Stephen Boyd in the Volvo went up back to him. Basically, just turned into a big jacking train, and that was pretty much the only heavy action the whole meeting. So, you can't always have a good meeting. Appreciate the meetings when they do happen, because obviously, if we'd have known then that we mightn't have any more meetings all year, you'd say, yeah, that was a good meeting. But overall, it just wasn't great. But I mean, you can't win them all, and then it makes you appreciate the better meetings when they do happen. But obviously, Northern Ireland part of the United Kingdom. All racing for now is postponed, but we'll come back to that later.
Yeah, definitely. And Ed, I know you mentioned former Lightning Rod World Champion Gordy McKee was out in the Unlimited Bangers.
Yes.
And I know you said he was challenging for race wins with Leonard Dunn and Stephen Bolton.
Yeah.
Is he still going to be racing in the Lightning Rods?
I think so. It's basically a case of a lot of drivers know drivers in other form. It's basically the car that he was racing was one of Stephen McGrath's old cars. So it's basically a case of, here, can I race that? And he can. Like, a lot of the time, Lightning Rods actually turns into bangers. It's not really for the hitting, but it's more so the contact, the pushing, the shoving, and all that. So, I mean, he did well for himself. So we probably could see him in Unlimiteds again. We'll see how we get on. But but it was impressive. It was good to see that one driver turning from one formula to the other and being very good, more or less from the start. Usually it might take 2 or 3 meetings to kind of get yourself settled in, but no, this time we were straight out, and it was really good.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously another Northern Irish man has recently raced in bangers as well and performed very well, and that is Adam Maxwell, who won the National Hot Rod World Final back in 2016, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, it's good to see that a few hot rod drivers are continuing to make the step into bangers, and obviously Adam won one of the last chance qualifiers at the Ipswich World Final last October. But now we're going to move... Sorry, Ed, were you going to say anything?
No, I was going to say no. You'll probably see Adam in bangers again. He's a few nice cars put away, which I can't reveal, obviously. But no, but I mean, it shows that if you're good in one formula, you're going to be very good in another formula. I mean, one more example we could use is Tom Harris, former Formula One stock car world champion. He's raced bangers a few times. He's been very good. I think it's just a case of, I think it's basically the case if you're good at handling a powerful or low grip rear-wheel drive car and you're not afraid to get stuck in with the bumper, you're going to be good in any formula, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think as well. So it's on the Adam Maxwell one at Ipswich. That was probably one of the best last chance qualifier performances I've ever seen around Ipswich. It was absolutely fantastic, and he was there at Aldershot for BWS 1 as well, getting stuck in the mix of it. I think he ended in the back of Scott Cornish during the wildcard race, so he's definitely started this season pretty brightly. Carry on from where he left off at the end of last one.
Definitely. And I know Ed mentioned Tom Harris there as well, and obviously we can't not mention Tom Harris's career in the US as well. He performs very well over there as well in the World of Outlaws. So it's good that we've got some really, really top class drivers in the world of stock car racing and banger racing as well. But now let's move to a little closer to home and talk about the Aldershot 3-litre undercracker as well. James, I'm going to come to you first on this one.
Well, yeah, coming to me first. Obviously, I was working at this event and it kept me very busy all day. So in terms of actually reviewing bit by bit, I'm probably not the right person to come to. What I can say is that the crowd was fantastic. The weather was changeable, as it has been pretty much so far this year. The DD was everything you wanted from a banger DD. The final was fantastic. The cars that were out there's a great mix between preparation and cars pretty much prepared on the driveway and out there. The racing was great all day, and it was a real reminder to a real sort of step back to that sort of old school banger mentality of it being there for a laugh to entertain the crowd, and not about winning and not about glory, but about putting on a show and having a laugh. And Jordan, you were up in the commentary box, weren't you, for your for another training session with the legend that is Mr. Woodward? So I'm sure you saw a great bit of action up there, and then Matt was on the sidelines as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think I commentated on the third heat of the day for the bangers. Wasn't the most heaviest of races, but you know what you mentioned there about it being old school racing. I think I wrote in my latest Wheelspin article that the racing reminded me of almost what I imagine the old HQ would have been like on a Thursday night or something. Great mix of cars, great mix of preparation as well. The rear-wheel drive cars, watching them, all the drivers throw the cars around there. You had Runa throwing his car about. You had Joey Reynolds as well and Jack Starr. And then you had the older cars as well. I think Peter Dodge as well had that Austin A55 bubble. Spike Mike Kelly had that old car as well. I think, Matt, you've got a few of their cars. Yeah, Hillman Minx as well.
Yeah. But like, where do we start? The Undercracker. It was a bit of a Mickey take of the Firecracker name. And for me personally, this was my first 3 litre meeting at Aldershot. I missed the 2 last year, which I'm gutted about now. But it was fantastic. And it really was the Undercracker. Just going in the pits, I think it was about 10:15 I got there really early. And there was already a flood of amazingly old cars and builds. I mean, like I said, so you had Spike number 5 of a Hillman Minx. Keefe had a Zephyr. 328 Mike Parry had the extremely rare Alpha Sud, which ended up demolished at the end of the day. Rudy had a limo. There was Rover Metro for 168, Looney Luke. Runer's little Datsun, I think it was, that looked stunning. Peter Dodge with another old car. The A55 bubble. There was so many cool cars. There was a lot of bilge as well. And Nissan Prairie came back out. That was 860 Bonkers. That was first came out at the Heavy Metal Classic this year. There was, I think, a few Bluebirds in the pits as well, a few Capris. The Dinosaur A60 or 591 Aaron Morris. So yeah, there was an extremely loads of old cars, and a Cortina as well, I think, for a 360 Jackstar. But absolutely insane day. It was the last meeting I got to go to before the coronavirus outbreak, and what a meeting it was to sort of be my last meeting for quite some time. The action was superb. The heats had their moments, like they always do, any back to basic meeting at the Aldershot Raceway. But the final Destruction Derby, wow, they were 2 of the best races I've seen in a very long time at Aldershot. For at least 5, 6, 7 years. Absolutely insane.
Kept me very, very, very busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to echo what Matt said there. I think the grand final, obviously, that big wrecking train happened right in front of us, Matt. It was absolutely awesome. You had Jackstar going in on Keefe, other drivers involved were Peter Dodge, Runa got involved, Ollie Banks as well. He deserves a mention because he was on one all day. Even in the heats, he was getting stuck in, getting spun out, trying to cause a bit of carnage. So yeah, it was just all round a really good day. Andy Nutley took home a really, almost quite a scary wreck as well after the DD. I think AC photos or probably a few people have some pictures of that, but yeah, that was quite scary. Charlie Ells, he took a big hit as well in the DD. It was just all round.
Charlie House was knocked out, wasn't he? Briefly down near the pit gate.
Yeah, he was. But obviously, it was great to see Charlie climb out. Okay, he took a heat win in Heat 3 actually, and drove very well. But yeah, it was just a great day. James, have you got anything to finish off this little bit of analysis?
No, nothing more from what you two guys added. Just that it continued what was started last year with the 3 litre meetings of them being something a bit different. Domestic bangers has fell away a bit in the last few years. Back to basics is still there as that as a way that people can get involved quite easily, and this does now sort of feel like the natural middle ground between the performance and top end aspects of national bangers, especially unlimited national bangers, and the entry level of back to basic, especially at the southern tracks like Aldershot, to actually have that middle bit where there is some car preparation, but there's also room for a bit of bilge and basically still people having a laugh and putting on a show. So I think it's found a bit of a niche, and I hope it. Well, obviously this season, as we're going to speak about later, the calendar's all up in the air, but I think it's found a good way forward, and probably why they were given more fixtures this year than last year.
Yeah, definitely. I know Matt mentioned earlier the 3 litre meetings last year that were both run to unlimited spec. Were very good indeed. And it looks like that trend has continued in good fashion. But now we will move on to the first real big individual title of the National Banger season, and maybe the only title to be won this year. It was, of course, the Unlimited National Bangers BBA Supreme Championship, won rather fittingly by 204 Charlie Boy King. And for those of you who were at the World Final last year would have seen that Charlie led pretty much the whole race from pole position, was looking so comfortable out in front with that beautifully prepared Toyota Supra, handled the restarts very well. Only for the car to go sick, literally 2 or 3 laps from the end, handing the win to Mick Maskell. So it was great to see Charlie actually get a little bit of revenge and show that he can do it. And what was another very lively Supreme Championship. There was a massive track blockage on turn 4. Nathan Roberts was in the scrap for the lead as well. He got taken out. The after-mentioned world champion, Mick Maskell himself, he took a massive T-bone on the home straight when he got caught up in the pile-up. Jack Overy, he didn't have much luck. He was going for his 3rd Supreme Championship in a row, but that didn't quite happen for him. There was just loads of great action in the main race itself. The all-comers were also very good. Obviously, we've got to talk about Bro and his continuing battle with DWO. I think he only really met Jonesy and 190 Steve Bailey throughout the course of the night. But Bro did very well to get the car back out for the DD. I know Matt mentioned Nemesis's performance at the Stanley A1 Open earlier in the year. That continued at the Supreme. He put in an absolutely great hit on Scottish driver 274 John Taylor on turn 3 and 4, getting a decent bit of air time as well. You know, it was just awesome. It was a very good meeting. And Mildenhall, I think, despite the changes made by Deanwood and Speedworth, it still can produce some very good action indeed. Yes, the track did rut up quite a lot. I think the mini stocks were quite entertaining to watch. The big rut on turn 3 and 4 really caught a few of them out. And even in the Unlimited Banger DD, a few cars actually got stuck on that rut. But no, other than that, it was a great night, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know if any of you guys have got anything to say on the Supreme Championship.
No, not me, Jordan.
Clearly not.
I think just
Good.
Yeah, obviously I wasn't there, but I think from the feedback I've seen from people, I think people walked away thinking it was a great meeting. From what I've seen from the all-comers and for the last few races, the track did kick up a bit, but everyone was giving their all. And again, the crowd looked happy, and the reviews came away that, yeah, there might have been a bit of the track kicking up a bit, but everyone came away pretty happy, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And, well, another name I will mention is 77 Patch Beasley, who was in good form at the Supreme. He had this lovely Jaguar, and then just a week later at the Ipswich BWS round, he also brought out another Jaguar and met 521 Ace Ash, let's say his name right, Ashley Riley, with a monster head-on in the wildcard final. That was in the mix of a great Vic train. I think 341 Andrew Jones got jacked by 247 Bro. Tom Filmer, I think, came and T-boned Ace Ash as well. Obviously, the wildcard was won by 699 Stacey Holdsworth. There wasn't really much action to note in the 2 heat races and the showdown other than 162 Viking Brent Shaw. He brought out a Ford Scorpio limo. He raced a Hearst variant at the Aldershot Banger World Series round, so it was good to see him bringing out another car, obviously gunning for them entertainer points. He got hit a few times on the home straight quite hard, leaving his Scorpio limo in a decent wreck. And he's also got a few more interesting bits of material should there be any more BWS rounds this year. And it must be said as well, fair play to 211 Dennis Vorking as well. He come over once again from Holland. He raced a Volvo 240 Estate, and he got followed in hard on turn 3 by a 77 Patch. Dennis was planning to do every single BWS round this year, and he had a fresh car for them. He recently did an interview with Bryson, and that's on the Caged website. So, yeah, I'd recommend you go and read that. But, yeah, absolutely awesome effort from the Dutchman. And he's a very good driver as well. Always gets stuck in and isn't afraid of who he's going to upset. So, yeah, that was pretty much it from the Ipswich BWS. Once again, congratulations to Stacey. She's qualified for a third world final in a row and will once again be representing the women. Hopefully, should the meeting go ahead. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have got anything more to add on the Ipswich Bangerbold Series round.
I suppose, George, just a question. Obviously, last year I introduced the Entertainers League. At Aldershot, for the first BWS, we saw that there were quite a lot of sign-written cars and people going out, especially with the change of the showdown moving to the race before the wildcard. Definitely added to the event. I'm just wondering, did you see that carrying on at Ipswich? Did it still add to the event? Did it make the showdown actually look a bit better because it not being the last race of the day, and you're strongly encouraged to be in it if you want to be in the wildcard race? And did the Entertainers League still seem like it mattered to the drivers out there?
Yeah, I think I've made my feelings very clear about the Entertainers League in the interviews I did with Jamie Pole for the World Final Programme last year, and chatting to other drivers as well. They're really keen on it, and I think if the drivers are keen on it, we've got to be as fans as well. It lets drivers bring out interesting material and get awarded for that. Lets the drivers who want to crash. And the drivers who also want to prepare a car nicely, they get rewarded for it as well. Because otherwise, I think you're just going to be falling into that trap again of drivers using the same Ford Scorpio or the same Mercedes for all 8 or 10 world qualifying rounds across the wet temperate, probably speedway and in-car race circuits. So yeah, I really like the idea of the Entertainers League. I think it works really well. I think it's got to be said that Ipswich is a vastly different track to Aldershot. Aldershot's a lot tighter, and it's a lot more prone for action as well. Obviously, in the case of if you have 30 or 40 cars around Aldershot, there's going to be some action because the corners are tight, and there's not much room to really manoeuvre out of it. Whereas at Ipswich, if you have, we had 50 or 60 cars out on track for, the showdown and the wildcard final, and there was some action, but obviously the track's a lot faster. It's a lot more open. There is a lot more room to get out of trouble. So it may not have been as lively, but it certainly worked because I think we got 4 races with a good grid of cars. Whereas obviously some drivers last year and in previous seasons of the Bangerbold Series would do, the wildcard final, load up and save their car for the next BWS round or for the next unlimited meeting. And then you'd only get a few cars out for the showdown. And with that only being 10 laps last year as well, when in previous years, there wasn't much action. And it was always the rule with showdowns that you were going to either have a race winner or last car running. I think with it being extended to 15 laps, it does allow for that little bit more chance for something to kick off. And I think you've seen that in the 2 BWS rounds we've had so far. So yeah, that was a long-winded answer, but I think it's worked really well.
Completely agree on that point as well. So what I've seen so far about rearranging the showdown and the wild card is that it sort of adds to the tension of the wild card going through the day, because when it's the second heat for the drivers, if you like, it's sort of like after that point, the day that's what everyone came to see, is who's going to be in the world final. And then the showdown was just something tacked onto the end. There was never going to be a DD because no one's going to DD their unlimited BWS car. So I also think the same thing. I do think it's added something, putting the showdown in the middle, because it sort of builds the tension up. If you take someone out in the showdown, then maybe that means in the wildcard race, maybe they'll be looking for revenge when you're winning. I think it just adds to the drama.
Yeah, definitely. I think it does increase that. And hopefully we'll have more BWS rounds later on in the year. And, Dennis Vorkink can maybe look to qualify for the World Final, as well as obviously 77 Patch and 162 Viking as well, Brent Shaw. But now we're going to move away from the racing and bring you some merchandise news. We here at Caged have come to an agreement with Jack's Raceware that they will be our merchandise provider, and I believe, Matt, you have more news on this.
Yeah, I do. So on the Jack Raceware website, obviously we're now partnered with Jack Raceware to provide our merchandise to you guys. So if you want any merchandise, obviously you can do it through them. At the moment, publicly on the website, it is just hoodies and T-shirts at the moment. And once hopefully this pandemic finishes, we're going to add a hell of a lot more content, more merchandise on that Caged stock page on the Jack Raceware website. So at the moment, we got hoodies in two slightly different variations for £28 each, and the T-shirts for males and ladies, yes, you've got two different ones there, are £15 each. The hoodies, you've got the plain black hoodies with the Cage logos on, or you could opt for I think a lot more exciting, orange string and orange on the inside of the hoodie, which looks absolutely fantastic. But yes, I'm saying at the moment, obviously with everything going on in the real world, at the moment we are sticking to just that. And once this is over, we're going to look to, on the website, put on stickers, hats, maybe fridge magnets, key rings. Who knows what else we could produce in the future? I mean, I've still got mugs. I've still got mugs to flog. So if anyone wants a Cage mug, obviously, send us a message. So must have about 20 of those left. And I've still got some stickers as well, but I'll leave them until the season gets going again. So yeah, it's great to be part of a great merchandise provider. They also help out with Stanley Carina and Trent, I believe, as well. So they are definitely building a reputation for themselves, and with us obviously working together, it's a benefit for both of us. And obviously it's great that they're doing it for us, and obviously for you guys, rather than messaging us and us having to go through a new one, and it takes a while to sort of supply the order. But now you can just go on the website, jackraceware.com, add it to your basket, what you want, and done. It's done within minutes. So yeah, if you'd like to buy the one, head over to that website now. But yeah, it's a great opportunity for us.
Yep, absolutely. So we've added the link. We've added the link into the feed for anyone that wants to click on that and maybe order some merchandise. Should also be said as well, in all of our conversations with them, we've been really impressed with their professionalism, their dedication to actually putting out a quality product, and really excited to be partnering with them. And hopefully as a partnership, we can provide you with some quality Cage goodies.
Yes, definitely. And as Matt said as well, due to the pandemic we are currently in, we can't get as much out at the moment. It is just hoodies and T-shirts and what you like, but we are looking to bring in more stuff as well, when we are working with Jack Raceware to hopefully bring you more exciting goodies as well. But now,
I was going to say, hopefully with the Raceware, we can be like NASCAR, so you can have like placemats and coasters and cups and lunch boxes even. So
I'll tell you what, the reason I haven't been enjoying drinking my cups of coffee at the moment is because I don't have a coaster with Matt Josey's face on. That means the world to me.
That could be sorted out.
Yeah,
that could be sorted out, and hopefully it will.
Eventually, everyone's bedroom's going to look like mine, with just pictures of Matt Josey everywhere with the word Caged on, and then I think the world will be a happier place.
Hold on, are we past the watershed yet?
Just
we are, yeah.
Yeah, no, I heard you, Jordan. I heard your clock on the master feed. I heard the famous Cage Big Ben. We are past the watershed.
Well, I do have I do have a nice cushion with a picture of Matt Josey's face on it, so I can literally say I sit on Matt Josey's face. Anyway,
I was going to say.
And
moving on.
ladies and gentlemen, that is why no one else is invited to the Cage Christmas party.
Yes. I'd rather wish I hadn't got an invite to last year's as well. So, moving on to maybe more serious matters, but we're going to try and bring some joy and fun out of it. It is, of course, coronavirus as well. Obviously, everyone's in lockdown at the moment. There's been no racing since mid-March, so for a month now. Guys, what do we think? In fact, I'm going to go to Ed first, considering he had some very good points before we come on air.
I think this is ultimately a case. If you'd have said 4 years ago, right, in 5 years' time, the world is literally going to grind to a halt over a disease, you'd be laughed at. But then again, I don't know. Like, obviously, I'm a little bit older, so I would say if this happened in 1990, it wouldn't be as bad, mainly because you've no social media. So, in other words, your neighbour who 3 weeks ago was yummy mummy making bath bombs is all of a sudden a financial and infection advisor. She can give you all the advice you need when she doesn't really. So, all I'd say really is do as you're told. Keep washing your hands. I mean, they're not saying stay indoors or stay away from other people for fun. Obviously, everybody wants to get back going, get back racing, get back to life as we know it as soon as you can. So, I mean, I'm not really going to go all BBC News headlines about this either, but just keep doing what you're doing is all I'll say to everyone, really.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't have said it better myself. And obviously, it must also be said, a massive, massive thank you to everyone who works in the NHS and other emergency services and key workers as well. You're all superstars. We're all behind you. And yeah, a massive, massive thank you. We should be saying thank you for you doing your duty every single day of the year, no matter if there's a world health pandemic or, you know, whatever else has happened. We should be thankful for you because you all do such fantastic work, but we really do mean it this time. So yeah, stay at home, keep safe, and, well, just keep well as well. But what does this mean for racing, and what does this mean for championships this year? James, let's go to you on this one.
Well, I think the first thing that needs to be said is that as much as we don't like being away from racing, anything that needs to be postponed will be postponed, and we have no control over that. And we just have to accept that. I mean, I'm sure... I mean, I keep saying to my partner, Sarah, constantly, it's extended to the point where there's not going to be a speed weekend yet. And I'm sure a lot of other people, especially those based in East Anglia or South, are thinking the same thing. But at the end of the day, things are probably going to get cancelled. Things might get squashed in at the end of the year, but no one should be wishing that the events start quicker than they need to. They'll restart when they are safe to, because we might say, 500 people, but 500 people isn't that many at a stock car race when you factor in the drivers. Most of them will bring one or two mechanics. You've got marshals, infield staff, recovery staff, people in race control. There is quickly a lot of people that are then going to go back to their families. So it's basically a case of it's going to come back when it comes back. What it means for the championships this season, I think it's probably quite optimistic to think we're going to see a new unlimited champion this year. I think what might happen is that the BWS winners so far this year might get rolled over to next year. I think if possible, of course they will try and run it, and I don't know how they're going to run the seeds to go into that race, maybe based on points on previous seasons. I'm as itching as anyone to get back trackside, but I think if we have to just write off the season, we just have to accept that as a fact. Yeah,
definitely. I think, in the crazy situation we all currently find ourselves in, everyone's health comes first. That's including us as spectators, drivers and their pit crews as well, and as well as officials as well, like you, James, because you probably know just as well as anyone else that racing can't go ahead without emergency services, can it?
Absolutely. And I don't think, and what people don't realise, of course, there are ambulance services available at trackside. But when you see an ambulance come onto a track, that is not the ambulance that takes it to takes the driver to hospital, unless there's a real emergency need. What happens is that paramedic comes on the track, takes the driver, and then 999 is called, and an ambulance comes on. I don't think anyone wishes to put more strain on the NHS for what is, and as much as it feels like a way of life to all of us, at the end of the day, it's a recreational activity. So I don't think any of us wish to put that extra strain on at the moment. And even if it is a case that we have private paramedic companies, St John's Ambulance or whatever it is, racing adds a risk to the emergency services, to everything else, to having a lot of public around. And I think, as I said, as much as we're itching for it to come back, I think we just have to accept at the moment some things are bigger than racing.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, obviously, I totally agree. It should come back when the time is right. So we are going to miss some huge meetings. And in terms of championships, obviously, because we're going to lose a lot of qualifying meetings, we could well lose the main Speedo National Banger World Final. I don't want to obviously depress us too much about what we are going to miss, but we missed the Mr. Happy meeting possibly a few weeks ago, which was supposed to be a cracking night. One for me, because obviously it's quite personal to me, because I love my van bangers. Arlington was due in a few weeks' time on oddly a bank holiday Friday. Pretty much 99.9% that is not going to go ahead now, which is a shame because it's a great meeting. But I mean, of course, it's tough because I totally support. It's got to come back when it can come back. It's just a blow when the sport itself can't go on forever. Cars. Old cars especially are getting harder to find, so you want to make the most of the months and years we've got left of this sport we love. And of course we've got these meetings that are going to be postponed or cancelled altogether. Hopefully they can be sort of rearranged at a future date. For example, the Mr. Happy meeting, the All Merc meeting, which was for raising money for, I think, mental health charities at Ringwood. That is probably going to be given a new date as well. But like I said, Arlington Vans, that probably wouldn't get rescheduled. That would probably just be cancelled until next year now. It's a real tough situation we're in. And for those, that really do crave certain meetings of the year, or we're looking forward to those one-off meetings like the Mr. Happy meeting, it's hard to lose, but it's got to happen for however long it's got to happen. But obviously this is why we're going to come on to it later, where there's a big surge in, the online gaming world. Yeah,
definitely. And it must be said as well that Lee's meetings that we were looking forward to, like the Mr. Happy meeting, Arlington Vans, when we do get the meetings, whenever, and the Caged Back to Basics Open, as
that's
I'm
on
sure
an
you were about to say,
yeah.
Matt, that is on a knife edge. But if these meetings do go ahead in the future, whether that be later this year or next year, when they do happen, they will be well worth.
Well, I will say, I've been speaking to Steve Holmes over the last week or two, and no matter what, even if it gets cancelled, it gets cancelled. The Caged Back to Basic Open will still go ahead, whether that is next year or later on towards the end of the Cheaters season. It's definitely going to happen. It's just got to be given the right date, so it will still go ahead, just whenever it's got to be.
Well, that's absolutely great to hear. Obviously, for future things, keep an eye on the Cage Facebook page for any updates on the Back to Basics meeting as well. We are keeping an eye on the situation as it's ever developing. But I know Matt mentioned nicely about the growth of esports. Obviously, with there being no racing on, we have seen the emergence of online stock car meetings. I know that the Brisker F1 stock cars are running esports meetings. They started at Mildenhall, then they moved on to Skegness last Saturday and are racing at Kings Lynn this Saturday. The Brisker Formula 2 stock cars have done the same, as well as the V8 hot stocks, and even the glamorous world of Formula 1 have done it as well. So we at Caged thought, why not us? So if you haven't heard already, we are going to be running the virtual Caged Open at the Stanlake Arena for the very first time next Saturday, the 25th of April at 8 p.m. And as well as Ed has just pointed out, the National Hot Rod Virtual World Final takes place very soon as well. I think you've already got drivers from Scotland, Northern Ireland, England, and even South Africa booked in for that as well. So that should be a great fixture. But yes, linking back to the Caged Open, Matt, can you tell us about how the idea came about?
Yeah, so obviously, me personally, I'm not bored at home, plenty of games to play. I've been doing lately Kizzers Monday Night Bangers, which I quite enjoy doing. But you know what? I just sat there and I thought, on a weekend, we are slightly copying, let's not deny it, but I think we are one of the first to do it in such a way. But we're going to do a proper, banger meeting, broadcast live on social media channels. So at the moment, it's YouTube and Facebook for certain. Any more media platforms, obviously, we might announce in due course. But we're partnering up with VBRL Promotions to broadcast this. So the idea was obviously do a virtual Caged Open. That was, the first idea. Obviously, Jordan and Ed, you're going to be commentating, so that'd be great. Obviously, we've got VBRL hosting the server, and we got Gary from there as well, who's going to be running the camera, helping us with the broadcasts and overlays for the night. So we're gonna give it a shot. One thing I will say is it may not be the best coverage in the world. We're going to try our utmost best to make it as realistic as possible. So obviously you got your commentary, you got I think it's going to be 4 heats, a final, all comers or 2, plus a destruction derby to end the night. We've got a maximum. It's all going to be done on one server. 23 drivers, because we've got to leave one space for the cameraman himself. So the meeting is intended as invite only, and we have got some big national banger names already booked in, and we've got space for just a few more, as we have 19 drivers booked in at the time of going live on this podcast. We have got 209 Tom Waller. We've got former national banger world champion Stephen Ledford Bolton. Of course, you've got me and James. We've got
Team
David.
Yeah.
We've got
You're going in.
Love him or hate him. We got Brett Gedney from Totally Trash.
Yeah.
Stuart Davis 622, who's got a replica of his Volvo estate that was raced at the first Caged Open back in 2018. We got a bit of Irish representation from 388, Little Stevo. A proper old school auto speed driver, Buddy James 262. Got 811 Kieran McIver. Got 711 Anthony McIver. We got number 3 Mitchell Finney, who raced for the Silver Boys. Was it Silver Boys? At last year's Caged Open. 244 Jack Bunyan. We've got number 2 John Bricknell. A proper old school driver here. We've got 24 Dave O'Sullivan, who's going to be racing a Rover P5 in his old school colours. We've got former junior banger world champion 328 Ben Nichols and 422 Samuel Lewis. So we've got just a few spots left. Who we're going to invite, we do not know yet. Depends on which drivers approach us. But yes, what I will say is we are looking forward to it. It's going to be a great night. We just want to help fill the void, really, and let's have a little laugh of it. So we'll see how it goes. If it goes well, we are planning on doing more meetings every fortnight. We'll say that now, providing it goes well. And you know what, guys? I feel like we should put this on the spot, right? I didn't say I was going to plan on doing this tonight, but Northern Bangers. If you guys...
No, just couple ready. No.
What?
Isolation has made you crazy, Matt. You're laying down the gauntlet.
No, right. No, Matt. James, mute him.
Okay, all right. Matt, compose yourself. And we'll come back.
Okay. Put it this way. Before Matt carries on, we have an idea, but it isn't confirmed yet. And if it is going to go ahead, it will be a lot of very good fun, and there will be a lot of maybe tension. Online tension would be the word.
Good tension.
Good tension. Let's just leave it at that for now. I'm sure social media is blowing up right now with that. with my little hint. But yes, no. As
I
Matt
don't
said,
even know about it. It's great. It's great.
we are all very much looking forward to it, and me and Ed are going to have great fun on commentary, aren't we? We're probably going to take the mick a little bit, aren't we, Ed?
Just a little tiny bit. The size that you could fit a full-size Boeing 747 through, that's the little amount we're going to be doing it by.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
So
yeah,
you have been warned, guys. You better be good. Like, I want you to win, and if you don't win, kill your cars, because the whole caged strength is on your backs. So
yes.
So what I'll do is now obviously there won't be any motivational talks during the meeting itself, but in the pits beforehand, we're going to really have to do a group huddle here and say, this is what's happening, this is what you need to do, and all that. But we were discussing this earlier on. PC gaming thing. How does it all work? Now, funny enough, like James, I'm employed in the IT world, but I'm a complete newbie to all this. So, James, if you wanted to play Wreckfest on a PC, what do you need apart from a PC or a laptop, of course?
So around Christmas last time, everyone started getting on Wreckfest because it was finally released on the consoles. And one of the biggest questions was, how do we get the UK banger tracks on there? Unfortunately, the answer is on consoles you can't. When you have a game on PC, there are things such as there are modifications that can be downloaded. Those modifications change the base parts of the game or add new parts to it. Wreckfest as a game, it doesn't require at its base a top-level computer, but it does require a computer with a gaming card, or at least the ability to be able to render games at a decent frame rate if you think it's going to be playable. And what's happened is, since that happened, there are 4 key modifications that have happened since then. There is the Online Bangers pack, which has added the cars and the physics and the fact cars crumple up when you hit them. And then there has been 3 other track packs, which have, in really good detail, added the tracks to the point where they look about as good as you're going to see from any video game. Wreckfest itself has a really good online community. Ourselves at Cage, we also have an open server that anyone on PC who has downloaded the mods can join as well. And we also have at Cage, if you're on Xbox 360, every Thursday night, another one of our Cage team, Bryson Walker, is also running a Wreckfest League on one of the American ovals that are included as part of that game. So what Wreckfest basically is, it's a base game that on PC has been modified to probably replicate UK stock car racing as close as ever been done before. And as part of this Caged Open, what we're hoping to do is take some of the real drivers that have got their PCs set up and are able to run those mods and try and stream it with yourself and Jordan commentating to actually try and provide what looks as close to a real event as we can within basically virtual but real. And I suppose a lot of people are going to be thinking, how do you get involved? Unfortunately, your standard laptop probably isn't going to run it. You can get a gaming PC from around £400 or £500 that will run it on minimal settings. It's not like with consoles. You can't just get a disc and hope it works. You do have to. There is a bit of give and take. Sometimes it's on low settings. But there is a Facebook group, the UK Online Bangers Facebook group. If you go on there, if you say, if I buy this, will it run Wreckfest? There's a lot of helpful people. They'll be able to say yes or no, maybe on low settings, or they'll be able to point you in your direction. Well, Matt, you've joined the community recently. I joined a couple of years ago. What are you thinking about where it is at the moment? It's probably as close to real as we can get, right?
Yeah, it is. Actually, I mean, I got Wreckfest. I know I've been on it really longer. I just wasn't on it for years. I got the game when it was in what's it called? Like a beta, but it was a beta. It wasn't the full game. So I got the pre-release version. So I had the very early version of the banger mods, and that was when you had, I think, Gildo doing doing YouTube videos of it, and there was only a few people generally on there. And I got my gaming laptop actually Boxing Day, mainly for Wreckfest because I got rid of my old gaming computer, and yeah, it's exploded. Obviously, before the coronavirus outbreak, it was already huge, but it just feels like there's everyone on there now, and it feels like there's at least 1 or 2 meetings every single night on there, like a league running, and everyone's and it's insane how many people book in for these meetings. Like the Monday night one that I do, Kids League, you have normally two lobbies, and there's about nearly 60 drivers a meeting on average. That's just for a small Monday night league, I think.
Absolutely.
So
I think that's what's almost a bit amazing about it as well. The fact that with these leagues that run every night, there's a mix between people that are out there week in, week out in a banger, and then racing in these leagues, which are taken pretty competitively. Some people are out there for a bit of fun, the open servers for a bit of fun, but the leagues are taken pretty competitively. And you've got real drivers in there and a mix. Not everyone can get in a banger, not everyone can afford or have the facilities to get in a real banger, but they'll be in there week in, week out in their leagues, and it's sort of it's a really weird sort of mix between people who are diehard fans and real drivers, and it does feel as close as you can get in a virtual space. I know Ed's played it as well, and he might have a bit of a different angle. So, Ed, what do you think?
Yeah, I've played it. Like most PC games, you can either use like a steering wheel and pedals or a controller. Like I played it with an Xbox controller. But what I noticed was you actually do have to drive the cars. It's not like just accelerate, turn, crash, accelerate, turn, crash. Like if you go into the corner too quickly, you're going to spin out, or you're going to get into a massive oversteer slide and struggle to control the car, and then you have to do the gears as well. Like obviously I'm used to playing like say Forza and Gran Turismo, like proper racing games. Obviously you go up and down through the gears, but I mean it's like the real thing. Like once you move off and you're in second gear, that's it. Like if you're a bit mad, you probably try and get third gear, but most of the tracks you won't even get to third gear. And obviously you have to reverse as well. But as well, the damage system is quite good as well. Like if you sit there revving the crap out of your engine, like bouncing the valves, like you'd hear of many of the Ford Duratec, like the Frog Eye engines, like your engine eventually will blow up. So, the damage system in it is quite good. And then as well as that, if you damage your suspension, the cars are going to go straight. If you damage the steering, the cars are going to go, stuff like that. But it's good in that you actually have to drive. You can't just, accelerate, steer. So there's elements of driving to it as well as obviously crashing and following in and all that. It's a bit like when you have a go on the Formula 1 stock car or real Formula 1 games. It's hard enough to drive the car, but then realize there's a number of other cars there as well, all fighting for the same piece of tarmac that you're on. So it is quite realistic. It is quite good. So I know, I'm really looking forward to being the host for this Caged I-Open, as we're going to call it. I think is that the official title for it?
But call it that. Yeah, the E-Open.
The E-Open, yeah. But no, it should be good. Looking forward to it. And obviously it's a little bit different from most because you actually have mostly real drivers on it as well. But looking at some of the other e-racing series been going on, it's been very close between the gamers and the people who do it for real. So, it should be good. And hopefully, I'm with James said about getting a proper gaming spec PC or gaming spec laptop. Obviously, there's raffles and that online as well. But if you're allowed, of course, not locked down, go to any good PC shop to say you're looking for a good spec gaming PC. It'll only cost you $400 or $500, which is an awful lot less than what racing real bangers are going to cost you.
Can I just say though quickly?
Go on, Matt. Go on, you go.
I was going to just jump in and say this Wreckfest game of the mods. Honestly, right? Since I was about 15 years ago, when I was what was I then? 11, 12, something like that. I'd say this is the closest. Oh, I'd laugh there. This is the closest you'll ever get to a proper full-on banger game, because if you remember back in the PS1 days, you had I think it was Demolition Racer and Destruction Derby. They were the two closest games at the time. If you played them now, you'd think, my God, this is rubbish, but they were the closest things at the time. PS2, you then had Driven to Destruction, which at that time you thought, that's it, you can't get any closer than that, right? And then you had on PC years ago, you had SOD, that's Seduction of Destruction, and Banger Heat. And the thing is, Banger Heat looked all right, but there was no proper damage physics in there, so it didn't. I was never really sucked into it.
Yeah, it's the same as the hot rods, wasn't it? It's the same as the hot rods, except you could crash into each other.
SOD was great, apart from the fact that a lot of the cars are sat there dead, not doing anything. But Wreckfest when you take everything into account, it's the closest we ever will get. Mark my words. I don't think there'll ever be a game like it for bangers anyway, whether it's mods or an official banger game. Because what you got to look at is the graphics are superb, the tracks look great, the cars bend well, the cars sound great, apart from the Mark 1 Granada, which sounds like an electric car. I will say that, but literally everything about it, I'd say it's perfect, apart from there's no banger career mode, which I don't know if we'll have.
Matt, the one thing I will say is give a shout out for Stuart Cowie and all the stuff he's done with
Bangers
Unlimited
well.
on the Xbox 360.
Game.
And it's almost as if you've got two sides of the perfect game there, because there he's got the perfect career mode that simulates the points. Definitely. It simulates the points, the skins. It even has raffles in to win.
And this is one thing I will say.
It's basically you've got one side which is the perfect single player mode for bangers. Then you've got Wreckfest, which is the perfect multiplayer mode for bangers.
Yeah. And what I don't like seeing is when people compare his game to Wreckfest. Let's not forget he is a one-man band. He does that game mostly all by himself. And to come out of a game like that is incredible. To be honest, I've not played it in a while now, but I will get back on there soon. And I've seen from the group chat on Mad Cow Productions, it has come a long way in terms of the career mode. And it's not even fully properly released yet. So
I know, exactly. People are complaining about effectively being allowed into a testing phase where it shouldn't be released. It's an amazing job. I'm a computer programmer myself. I know how difficult these things are, and I can't believe he just has Tuesdays off. He works the rest of the week on it as well. So, I mean, and
this is the thing. I mean, like you summed it up perfectly. For multiplayer, Wreckfest is perfect. If you want to do a banger career mode, then buy Bangers Unlimited, because it's not even finished yet, and already it's great. And I think we should all get behind him, and I think the people are, and just help build the game even more. And don't forget, you've got caravans as well coming soon as well. So another great feature of Bangers Unlimited on the Xbox One.
I was going to say the thing as well, Matt, you need to remember, like SOD, like that was nearly 20 years ago now that Paul Freddie Glover came up with that. But back then there was no online gaming. It was basically you versus the AI. And one of the things I found out with that game was, now, obviously, apparently the less contact you did initially, the more the cars would race. So that's why an awful lot of them were sitting around dead, because you pushed them out of the way. So the AI,
I remember that very well.
copped on. But I mean, that was modified from Carmageddon, which is a rather controversial game at the time. But anyone who's played it is quite enjoyable, because the lovely bursting sound that the pedestrians make when you drive over them, and of course the soundtrack provided by Iron Maiden. But we're kind of wandered a bit off course there. But it's good now. I mean, it's like everything. It's evolution, really, isn't it? You know, I mean, if you look at banger racing games previously versus what we have now, there is no comparison. I mean, the fact that you can play online as well, race against real drivers as well. It's just unreal.
I suppose on that point as well, Ed, sorry, Matt. There's just one thing as well that's really funny that sort of replicates real life, is the fact you've got the skin painters, people that are skilled at Photoshop, that are able to say, I've got this skill, I've got Photoshop. They could almost, as well, I've seen raffles of people raffling off skins for the various online Wreckfest leagues. It's just funny how you
raffling off skins sounds like something else, James.
well, we are after the watershed, Ed, so maybe. It's just, but like, it's
that
just
sounds
sort of
like
funny.
something that should be on Law and Order. Raffling off skins.
And it's funny as well that you see the people within the games complaining to the admins, like you would see drivers going to the steward after a race. You've got people raffling off skins. Don't laugh again. You've got people offering to paint cars in return for winning a raffle, or maybe a small amount of money or some credits or something in return. It's just funny how the virtual scene is replicating the real scene at the same time.
I mean, it definitely seems like the future, doesn't it? I mean, just imagine, so many years down the future when banger racing is almost non-existent because cars will be so modern and, whatever could happen in the future. And we just have racing online to remember it. You know what I mean? I can actually see that happening. Like, when let's say 2040, there'll be no proper banger racing left and it just be online, just reminisce.
Where will I wave my flags?
Hopefully it doesn't come to that.
Yeah, where will I wave my flags?
Well, you won't.
Actually, do we have a steward of the meeting for Saturday week? Or is he blindfolded?
So
I feel like we should enforce rules in a way because you don't want people lunging in and pinning or.
So this has been spoken with Gary from VBRL. There will be a channel and a text thing set up, basically a virtual driver's briefing. The rules are effectively what you'd see on a real banger track, except you can hit in the driver's door because virtual bangers don't feel the same amount of pain. But apart from that, he'll be sitting on the middle. He'll be doing the recording, watching the main stream. Hopefully, given what we're trying to do, most people will play to the rules. Don't always see that on the online servers, but I reckon most people will play to the rules.
We have the virtual St. John's ambulance in case anybody gets a bit butthurt.
Yeah, that'll be there as well. And Jordan will be up in the you and as well, Ed. You'll be up in the virtual race control.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Can I ask a question? Will all the ice cream van be there selling banana lollies?
No, I'm afraid not. No, I believe the cake van will be there though.
Okay, cool. I want cheeseburger and chips.
Well, the reason I'm really looking forward to this meeting is I have it's not a case of travelling very far. You just have to travel to your living room or your kitchen or whatever.
Yeah, and you can be part of the Cage Open. And this is the thing, you see. What we want to try and do is, it's hard because there is a massive demand for people wanting to race this meeting. Obviously, we want it to be, real life drivers as much as possible. But with trying to broadcast a meeting online, it's hard. Maybe for future meetings, we'll try and do one server and have more people book in, and you sort of make points to make the final, if that makes sense. We've got to look into this. I mean, for this meeting, it's standard 23 drivers, one server. That's it. In terms of future meetings, we've got to discuss with Gary whether we can up the booking list and have one server so people watching the stream can still see all the action from the night. But obviously, we can open up the bookings to at least 30 drivers, and then you qualify for the final sort of thing.
Right. I think that pretty much wraps up
our
preview and discussion about the Caged Eye Open and Wreckfest as well. Obviously, as we said, check out the various Facebook groups and pages. Check out the Caged page as well as Gary Baker and his VBRL page as well. I know them guys do some fantastic work for their respective leagues as well that they run and help organise. It really is a great community, one that I haven't stepped into yet, and we're really looking forward to hopefully bringing you some live action to your very own front room as well. So, keep an eye on our Facebook page, and we will let you know with any recent updates as well. But I think that wraps it up for a very weird episode 47. But hopefully you've all enjoyed listening in. It's now time to say goodnight. So good night to our resident marshal, Mr. James Keane.
Thank you, Jordan. In the lockdown, it's been a pleasure to talk bangers with my friends again. I hope everyone else out there is also staying involved with their racing communities, and everyone just stay safe. We'll be back before you know it.
And let's hope you don't sell any more skins online, James. But for now as well, we're going to say goodnight to Mr. Matt Josey.
Good night, Jordan. Good night, everyone. It feels very strange, but I'm going to say to everybody, stay home where you can. It's the safest place you can be right now. Play Xbox, watch DVDs. Just stay safe and only go out when you really need to. Stay safe, everyone.
And a very good night to my virtual co-commentator and Wreckfest friend is Mr. Ed Fahey.
Good night indeed, Jordan. Good night, chaps. Don't forget, everybody, 9 days to go to what could be the meeting of the year.
Yes, definitely. We are planning it to be the meeting of the year. That's it for me, Jordan Hollands. But for now, please keep safe, follow the guidelines, keep washing your hands, singing happy birthday, and keep safe. We wish you and your loved ones well. But for now, time to go.